Look at the Twitter rules. They can be so, the problem with rules is that even if they look plausible, they can be selectively implemented. Lots of violence on Twitter, lots of violence. Glorification of violence. Well, surely supporting the army isn't showing pictures of soldiers marching or the trooping of the colour. Isn't that really glorification of violence? Well, you could easily make the case that it is, but I'm not making that case because I don't believe in censorship. Threaten or promote terrorism or violent extremism. Well, lots of troll accounts do that. For example, many religious groups have their own so-called anti-defamation channels where they threaten other people. They never get taken down. Child sexual exploitation. Well, Twitter allows transgender and content targeting children. Drag queens are visiting schools, and they have sexually lurid messages such as if lick it and it's yours, and things like that. Very sexually, blatantly sexually messages targeting children. It says we have zero tolerance. Well, that's not true. They do allow it. They do allow it. Abuse, harassment. Well, actually, troll accounts are allowed to use Twitter, and they are actually encouraged to use Twitter by Twitter, because many of these accounts are actually organized by Twitter. And lots of us have experienced trolling activity, including me, in a very aggressive way. Hateful conduct. And again, on the basis of race, anti-Islamic content is allowed. Lots of anti-Islamic content. Of course, Muslims are not blameless, but we need to understand that they've been invited here. It's not their fault. We've been bombing and destroying their country. So this is very dishonest. Suicide or self-harm, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the bottom line is this. Using these generic and generalized explanations, Twitter can basically remove anybody at any time using any pretext, and you're not really allowed to dispute it. We don't know who, I don't know who flagged my comment. I made lots of comments in the past, and they're just free speech, really. That's all they are, and they've been removed. And then again, is this algorithms doing it, or is it? Am I being watched? Am I being watched, or perhaps someone is monitoring accounts? Because if 100 people make the same comment and only one person gets removed for that comment, then it doesn't seem fair, does it? Either remove 100 comments or don't remove any of them. I'm in favour of free speech. The government are against free speech. We're told we have freedom, but we only have freedom on the basis that we're allowed to agree with the government. The vast majority of people do not know that we don't have free speech. They actually believe. They don't see the glass walls that surround them. We're living in a prison, but the prison is like an open prison, and we can't see it. And because the vast majority of people have nothing to say that would worry the government, they go around imagining that they have freedom of speech. They don't. It's important that everyone learns we don't have freedom of speech, but we should have freedom of speech. I'm not saying, I do agree with some of these safety rules here. I would technically agree with, but the reality is that they're fake rules. In other words, either they're not properly enforced, or they're enforced for targeted people only. In other words, people who support the government can say exactly what they want, and people who oppose the government get very heavily targeted and removed based upon these rather vague rules, which can be interpreted in any way.